All right, so welcome back. We're going to talk about the functional organization in the cerebrum now. So I'm going to hide me so you can see this image better. All right, so you'll notice that there's these different color-coded areas in the cerebrum. There's lots of different numbers associated with them because, again, there's lots of different nuclei, so they're all going to have somewhat specialized areas, specialized functions. So you'll see here like 44, 45 are Broca's speech area. And in fact, these numbers do mean things. That it's sort of how they were initially, I guess, discovered and classified. So you can kind of say it goes 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it kind of goes 10, 11, and I don't even know where 12 is now. But they kind of go in all sorts of, all over the place, depending on how they were found. We're not going to worry about these numbers. You start taking a neuroscience class, they'll make you memorize these different numbers. I'm not at all. But we will talk about these larger sort of shaded regions, and this is going to be so much fun. All right. So let's talk about first the somatosensory areas. And one of the things you're going to notice throughout these lectures is we're going to have an area, and then we'll have what's known as an association area. So we'll have a primary area and then an association area. And the basic way that these two are going to work is that the primary area will give you the, I guess, the very basics of whatever that function is. So like the first layer of functionality, usually it's just registering a specific sense, like, yes, you do register it. And then the association area will put on a more cognitive layer to it. So not just, yes, I feel it, but now I can actually identify it as pen, flower, banana, whatever. Okay? So we'll talk more about that, and hopefully that'll make more sense to you. So this primary somatosensory area is going to be this one in blue. And by the way, I'm not going to put a picture of a brain on there and ask you to point out these to me. Just understand their names and what they actually do. Okay. So anyway, this primary somatosensory area, it's going to receive information for things like touch, pressure, you can see this vibration, tickle, itch, temperature, pain, and proprioception. This proprioception, what that is basically information about movements and body position. So that proprioception allows sending information to your brain saying like, oh, you're moving, okay, and that'll send information to parts of your brain saying like, oh, okay, well, increase your heart rate, increase your breathing, things like that. It'll also tell you like, oh, my arm is here. Like, I don't have to always look like, where's my arm? Where's my other arm? Where do you, oh, there it is. I missed you. You know, like, you know where your body parts are at any given point in time. So like, I don't know, like if you happen to have long hair, right, you can pretty much braid your hair, put it in a ponytail. You don't have to see where your arms are at all given points in time. You have an idea of where they are. Okay, same thing like if you're taking off your glasses, like you're not smashing yourself in the face, because you can pretty much know, like, you know, where your hands are, so you can grab things and where they are in relation to your face. So you know you can take it off, put it back on. So that's proprioception. And you will not have seen this yet. We're going to talk about something called a homunculus in a couple of lectures. And basically, what a homunculus is, it's a representation of a human. So a homunculus might be like a little statue or something like that in like real life. In our brains, we have sort of like a little representation of our bodies actually mapped out on our brains. Again, we'll talk more about that in a couple of lectures. So what we'll see is in the somatosensory area, if I touch you in this, you'll feel it, let's say, in one finger. If I move over, you'll feel it in the next one. If I move over, I'll feel it. So just like your body's laid out, it's also laid out like a little man, a little woman, as the case may be, a little individual in the brain. Okay, so just kind of hold on to that term. We'll define it a little bit better in a couple of lectures. Okay. But in any case, that primary somatosensory area is allowing you to feel these things. So it allows you to feel touch. Like, yes, I am, like, if you're blindfolded, and, like, you know, you handed me this, or I was blindfolded, and you handed me this, I'm like, yeah, I can feel that, right? That's my primary somatosensory area. Yes, I feel that. Yeah. Now, the association area, so the one right underneath that, or right behind that in the brain, I guess, is going to allow me to determine the exact shape, texture, orientation, right, as well as memories. So like primary somatosensory, yeah, I can feel that. Yes, there is something in my hand. The association area goes, oh, yeah, that feels like plastic. Again, if I'm blindfolded. Yeah, and it feels like a pen. Oh, I write with this. That's what I do with this. Does that make sense? So again, primary, yes, I feel it. I got it. There's a thing there. It's not poking me or anything like that. You know, it's smooth. And the association area is going to say like, oh yeah, all right, this is the shape of a pen. It's cylindrical. It goes from like a rubber kind of texture to a smooth texture. I'm holding it up right now, you know, whatever. And oh yeah, again, I write with this thing. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. The primary motor area, so let's hide you so you can see this a little better, is in red here, and then what's known as the premotor area is sort of its association area, if you will. It's in front of it. So again, we have a homunculus. So again, we're going to have a little representation of a person. That'll make sense in a lecture or two. And what this is allowing is for voluntary contractions of groups of muscles. So again, if I stimulate a certain brain area, it'll make your one finger twitch. If I just move over, it'll make the next finger twitch, over the third, over the fourth, right? So basically, you can actually map out a human body in that area, okay? And you can stimulate it. So these are going to be voluntary contractions, but that's all they are. They're just kind of like muscle spasms in a sense. That premotor area is going to allow you to exhibit learned motor activities, and it says of a complex and sequential nature. So sequential meaning there's one thing that comes after another, right? So like when you write your name, and that's fairly complicated, right? But you pretty much know that, all right, one letter comes after the next, and that's how it always is. Things like, I don't know, tying your shoe, right? So one thing comes after another. First I create the loop, then I do whatever you're going to do. Okay? So that premotor area is a refinement of that primary motor area. Okay? And the movement's going to be more complicated than just that, because again, we're going to have some input from the cerebellum and stuff, but this is just very basic kind of thing. You have a primary visual area, so your visual area is going to be back in this occipital region. Again, that visual area, the primary one, simply receives visual information, so that means that yes, I can see that. So if your primary, just the primary was working, we would say you would not run into the table, you wouldn't run into the chair, because yes, you see it. You wouldn't know what it is, but you'd see it, right? That visual association area is going to take, well, you can kind of see it here. It relates to past and present visual information. So this is what's allowing you to identify, oh, that thing I didn't run into, that's a chair. So you know what that is because you've seen it before, right? It's also going to be the thing that helps you try to recognize things that maybe you haven't seen before. So what is that thing? I have never seen. That's a weird looking IKEA piece of furniture. Well, it kind of looks like what I expect a chair to look like, so it's probably a chair. Okay, that's your visual association area. So it's going to take past information and it's going to try to relate that to the present visual information that you're getting. Now, interestingly, and I'll kind of bring you back here for a second. Interestingly, sometimes people show deficits in either the that somatosensory area that we talked about first, the one that was touch, and visual area, and even auditory. So what I mean by that is, if you have damage, let's say, to this visual association area, okay? What that means is if you handed me this pen, or you didn't hand it to me, but you put this pen on the desk in front of me, and you said to me, just by looking at it, what is that? I'd be like, again, if I have damage to this visual association area, you'd ask me, like, you put it in front of me, you go, can you see that? I tell you, yes, I can see that. There's a thing in front of me. Because my primary visual area is functioning just fine. And you go, all right, well, what is that? I'm like, I don't know. Is it a moose? You'd be like, no, it is not a moose, right? I would really have no idea what that thing is in front of me. Then you go, all right, why don't you pick that up? I pick it up and I, oh, it's a pen. Of course it is. How does that happen? Well, that somatosensory, that primary somatosensory that allowed me to touch it, and then that somatosensory association area, which allowed me to identify it based on touch, is working just fine. So if I pick it up and I touch it, I know what it is. However, again, if my visual association area is damaged, just by looking at it, I can see it, but I don't know what it is. Okay, and and this can go vice versa. Like if you blindfolded me, let's say now the somatosensory association area was damaged. You blindfold me, you give this to me, and you go, "Can you feel it?" You're like, "Yeah, I can feel it." What is it? You're like, "I don't know." All right, open up your eyes. Oh, it's a pen. Right? So it just depends on how these areas are affected. Kind of interesting, no? And this does happen to people. Sometimes it's due to stroke. Ever so often it's some sort of like head trauma, like car injury kind of head trauma, or some other kind of head trauma. Kind of interesting how these things all work, no? Right. All right, let's try to go on. All right, so we also have an auditory area and then an association area as well. So basically, this, again, same kind of setup. So primary auditory area is going to receive information for sound. So yes, you can hear it, right? Yes, I hear that. However, you have to have this association area, and that is what's going to allow you to recognize what you've heard as something. So, oh, that's someone talking. Oh, that's a dog barking. Oh, that's noise. Oh, that's Justin Bieber. That's noise. I'm just joking. But again, that association area is what's going to allow you to recognize whatever it is that you're hearing as whatever it is. Okay, which is again really important. You want to be able to distinguish between someone, oh, that's someone talking in the distance, versus a car alarm. They're two very different things, right? Again, if you had damage to this association area, you wouldn't necessarily be able to recognize the difference between those two, which is wild to imagine. However, it's true. We have the same kind of setup for the olfactory senses. So again, olfactory, you can smell it, right? Maybe it gives you some rudimentary kind of thing, good smell, bad smell kind of information. But then you have to have this association area. In this case, you call it the orbitofrontal area. And that orbitofrontal area is going to allow you to identify and discriminate between the odors. So again, you smell it. Okay, this is banana. And not just banana, but that's banana, I don't know, air spray. I don't know why you'd have banana air spray. Or a banana scented candle, or an actual banana, or a banana pie. Like, you can pretty much tell the difference between those smells, right? I mean, I know that I guess different commercial industries try to make it smell as realistic as possible. However, you can usually tell the difference between a chemical smell, like a product, versus an actual baked good. Right? So yeah, really good. I mean, so that's part of this orbitofrontal area. And then we have these two areas, Broca's speech area and Wernicke's area. We're going to talk a little bit more about these two as well in a little bit. So Broca is going to be important in understanding language and forming words. So people who have damage to Broca's area will have a hard time actually, like, they'll have a hard time with the actual motor part of producing sounds. So someone who has Broca's aphasia will be difficult for them to actually produce the sounds, right? Like motor-wise. Okay. We'll talk more about that in a second. Okay. In Wernicke's area, interestingly, Wernicke's has a little bit of a difference. So what it does, it's going to interpret words and meanings of speech, and it'll translate words into thoughts. So when you really think about it, like, this is important because things like, I don't know, the word banana doesn't actually look like a banana. So you have to be able to take that word and, realize that, oh, that is that yellow, long fruit, right, that I peel. It's actually going to turn that into a thought. We'll talk more specifically about these. Okay. So, kind of hide me again. So you can see Broca's area here, and then Wernicke's area in the back. So people who have Broca's aphasia, so damage to Broca's area, and a lot of this is going to depend on the extent of the damage. Okay, so if you have slight damage, the deficits will be less. If you have major damage, the deficits will be greater, right? I think that's pretty obvious. So anyway, people who have Broca's aphasia can comprehend sentences whose meanings can be pieced together from the individual meanings of the words and prior knowledge of how the world works. Okay. So for example, the apple that the boy is eating is red. If you give that to someone who's got Broca's aphasia, they know that apples are red, so they know that the apple is the thing that is red, and they know that apples do not eat people, but people eat apples. So they know that the boy is the one that's doing the eating. So they can understand this sentence. This sentence, however, they can't understand. The boy that the girl is chasing is tall. Okay. So in this case, like, they don't know who is chasing who, and they can't tell who is tall. Okay. So they'll have a hard time with that because either one can chase the other, and either individual could be tall. So again, they don't have enough context clues to understand this sentence. And again, Broca's aphasia, they'll have a hard time actually pronouncing the words, and the deficit will depend on the extent of the damage. Okay. In Wernicke's area, in that aphasia, so again, this will also depend on the extent of damage, these individuals will actually have more difficulty understanding what is actually being said to them. So they have a hard time with language. Okay, so they really can't repeat what either they've said or what you've said. So again, they have a hard time with this language and language comprehension. They say the words clearly. So all the words sound as clear as I am speaking, right? But sometimes what will end up coming out is inappropriate words. So sometimes they'll you might have heard the example of Wernicke's aphasia as word salad, right? So someone's trying to say a sentence like, I don't know, I want the ball. And they're like, you know, avocado drink dog. And you're like, no, I don't understand. I don't understand what that means. Because they have a hard time formulating those words and expressing themselves and even understanding what you're saying to them. Again, depending on the level of the aphasia. They can say it, like the individual words are clear, they're just using inappropriate ones. And ultimately it doesn't make any sense. Okay. You can have something called conduction aphasia. So what this is basically you're going to have connections in between Wernicke's area as well as Broca's area. And somewhere along the way the tracks are damaged. So each area is intact, however, the axons connecting the two areas, the association axons, are going to be damaged. So in this case, people can comprehend simple sentences, right? Because, you know, Wernicke's area is intact, Broca's area is intact. They can produce speech just fine, because again, Broca's area is fine. There's just not so much of a connection. Ever so often, there might be some mistakes, but for the most part, you know, they can produce speech just fine. So they don't have that Broca-like garbled speech. However, because of the conduction, they can't repeat sentences, unfortunately. But again, since the areas are intact, they can understand what's being said to them. And then you don't necessarily have to worry about this. This is more just technical, this last bullet point. So what causes this is damage to that left superior temporal gyrus, and inferior parietal lobe. It may be extended to left primary auditory cortex and even that insula. So these are the areas that can be damaged, because that's basically where you would see those the axons traveling. Okay, but again, don't worry about this last bullet point. It's just more for your information. Okay, so again, conduction aphasia, because the brain regions themselves are not damaged, people can still understand sentences. If you tell them something, they can understand it. They can produce intelligible speech. They do have a hard time repeating sentences, but again, the deficits are a little bit different than had the brain regions been damaged. And then global aphasia is just really bad. So basically, you've damaged Broca's area, you've damaged Wernicke's area, and you've damaged the tracks in between them. So this is like a really bad traumatic brain injury. So in this case, you've lost the ability to comprehend language. Like, you don't understand what's being said to you. You don't understand what's being written down. You can't speak. You can't repeat sentences. You can still do things, you know, like if you needed to hammer in a nail or hang a picture or stuff like that. I mean, you're perfectly capable, but you're going to have a very hard time expressing yourself to other people. So you can imagine this is a very frustrating and sometimes isolating injury. Interestingly, it's sort of the first thing you learn in a foreign language and sort of the last thing to leave you. People can still curse. and clearly, too, which is kind of funny. So people who have this global aphasia can still curse just fine. And interestingly enough, they can usually, not always, they can usually remember and learn melodies. So by like basic ones. So things like they can't say a sentence to save their lives. They can curse and they can sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," right? It's really interesting how that happens, but I guess those are just so ingrained that those, I don't know, stay with us despite all these deficits in language. Okay. So I just want to talk to you about a little bit more about these proper connections. There's a really great TED Talk here given by Ramachandran. He'll talk about some of these different delusions and what happens with phantom limb syndrome. So I just want to talk to you about these three different, diseases and what causes them. Absolutely fascinating. Why it's so important to have these proper connections between different brain regions. Okay. And this other condition called prosopagnosia is going to go along with this. So when you get a chance, take a look at this video, watch this video. They're really, really interesting. Okay, so with that, talk about two different brain regions. We're going to talk about something called the fusiform gyrus and then the amygdala. Right? We said earlier the amygdala is going to be important in emotions, right? And this fusiform gyrus is our facial recognition center. Okay. So this brain region is what allows you to recognize someone as your mom, your dad, sister, brother, teacher, classmate, whatever. Okay. And these two brain regions have connections, very important connections between the two. So as I was mentioning to you before, when you see somebody, you're going to have an emotional response to them. And again, it doesn't have to be a massive emotional response. It doesn't have to be like, huge love or hate or anything like that. But you understand like, oh, okay, this is an individual. At some level, there's some level of caring or at least safety or some emotional level put on that. Okay. So what ends up happening in some of these diseases, so in these three diseases, you have the same damage, but slightly different result, okay? So what ends up happening in these three diseases is the connection between the fusiform gyrus and the amygdala is damaged. Okay, so this connection is damaged, right? So what this means is that the individual can recognize people and they can feel emotions, but they're not going to put an emotional component to that face anymore. Okay, so what ends up happening, and again, just that same, deficit will result in three different symptoms. So with Capgras delusion, what ends up happening is the individual, again, has this damage in that connection to fusiform gyrus and the amygdala. Let's say they see, the classic example is your mother, right? But it could be father, sister, doesn't necessarily matter, dog even. They see their mom, and you should have some sort of emotional connection when you see your mom, good or bad, but there should be some emotional connection there. And they look at the person, they're like, oh, that's my mom, but there's like no emotional response, like none. And the brain goes, but you should have some, but you don't. But it's your mom, you should, but you don't. But you should, but you don't. But you should, but you don't. So it kind of does this kind of thing, and it goes, why are we not having an emotional response to our mom? It's not your mom. That's literally what the brain does. It can't reconcile the conflict in the information coming to it, so it just decides, no, not your mom. So it looks like your mom, talks like your mom, but when you see her, you're like, your brain goes, nope, I should have an emotional connection to my mom. I do not. Therefore, this is not my mother. So what ends up happening, and this is a very real sensation, is that these individuals think that the people around them are imposters. So they think their mother is an imposter, they think their father is an imposter, they think their dog is an imposter. They recognize them, but because they don't have that emotional attachment, the brain doesn't know what to do with that. They're like, nope, you're messing with me. That's an imposter. Wild, right? And the thing is that you also have connections to the amygdala from auditory areas, because this fusiform gyrus is just that facial recognition. It's a visual thing, right? So you also have connections going from the auditory region to the amygdala. So let's say your mom calls you on the phone. You're like, hey, mom, how's it going? It's awesome to hear from you. You know, there's this person keeps dressing up like you. I don't know what the deal is. Because that connection from the auditory to the amygdala is intact, you do have that emotional response, and you respond appropriately to this individual. But again, when you see them, you're like, nope, you're lying. And you can't get over that sensation, right? For Goli syndrome, again, same damage, okay? But and sort of the same idea is that the brain kind of does this, but I should have an emotional response, but I don't. But it's even weirder than cop-brow delusion. And for Goli syndrome, the individual thinks it's a single individual wearing different masks, impersonating different people. Weird, right? So let's say mom comes into the room, you're like, it's an imposter. And then she leaves, dad comes into the room, like, that's the same imposter, they just changed the mask. They've got this costume on. I know, it's weird, but that's what the brain comes up with. Sometimes when it short circuits weird and crazy kind of ideas, but they're very, can I put this, very set to the individual. They're very pronounced, very real sensations. And then Cotard delusion, the third one, is kind of my favorite one. It when I explain it, you'll see why. In this case, again, same deficit, right? There's damage in the axons going from the fusiform gyrus to the amygdala, right? But in this case, it's directed at yourself. So not at other individuals, it's directed at yourself. So you should have an emotional response to you. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, you should go, oh, that's me. I love me. I'm an awesome person. Or not, but whatever. You should have some sort of emotional response to your own face. But because, again, damaged, you don't. So the brain goes, but I should, but I don't, but I should, but I don't, but I should. Why wouldn't I care about me? Why don't I not have, well, when would I not care about me? Well, if I was dead, if I wasn't alive, I wouldn't care about me. Oh, I must be dead. So literally, people with Cotard delusion think that they're dead. They think that they're part of the living dead. I am not even joking. They actually, like, a lot of them will actually think that they're vampires. Some of them think that they're zombies. Whenever I can, I work in those zombies. They literally think that. They think that the only reason that they don't care about themselves is because they are dead. And, you know, in our public, you know, or consciousness, the things that are alive but dead are things like vampires and zombies. So that's what they think that they are. And a lot of times people who have this Cotard delusion will actually try to commit suicide to rectify that discrepancy between being both alive and dead. They're like, I can't both be alive and dead. I should kill myself, and then I'll be dead. And I'll be my proper state that I should be, which is dead. I know, kind of wild. So anyway, so those are those three different symptoms. Again, kind of really interesting. I mean, I think one of the things that, not only are they wild, like how the brain kind of short circuits and goes, what? Crazy, you know, but that you can have the same damage, but just depending on how the brain decides to interpret or reconcile that difference, you'll get very different results, right? Again, this is one of the things that makes sometimes diagnosing and treating problems so tricky. And then prosopagnosia, this last one, basically that's going to be a little bit different. So what this prosopagnosia is going to be damage to the fusiform gyrus. So in this case, the connection between the fusiform gyrus and the amygdala is fine, right? That's fine. But the fusiform gyrus itself is damaged. So because that's the facial recognition center of the brain, you can't recognize faces. You see them, totally see them, but you have no idea who they are. Like you just can't recognize that face at all. You can see it in this video. It's actually this woman, I think she was a firefighter and suffered some sort of injury. She's also a photographer, so she can take photographs of people just fine. She can see this. She can see their faces. She just has no idea who they are, including people that she knows very well, like her mom, and even like celebrities. And it's an older video, so there's some like 90s and 80s celebrities in the video. But you'll see kind of just how frustrated she is because she sees them. She can't even recognize herself, which is wild, right? So again, this idea of how these brain regions work and the deficits is pretty interesting. All right, so we'll stop there. Let me know, as always, if you have any questions, and see you next lecture.